if I don't go too fast, okay. So I cut mobility management into two pieces, and the first piece is all about connecting people to the transportation options that can best get them to their destinations. So what's existing, who needs to use those services, how can I connect them with those services? Big piece of their work. We talked in our class that they do this through a lot of outreach, through marketing, but a lot of connecting with partners within the community is a long way of how they're doing this. Part two is working across sectors. So this means getting out of your silos, getting out of your office, going and talking to those people in healthcare and in employment. And we were fortunate to have, I don't think Ricky's in here, somebody from the Developmental Disability Council in our class. But working across sector with partners to first understand what are those gaps? Where is it people are not getting transportation? Who are these people? And together create new services. So there's the two pieces again. You connect people to what's existing, then you work across sectors with partners to create services that are needed, but that do not exist. So what we learned today, that these mobility managers who stood up are supercharged community connectors. They're amazing people. The people who they already are talking to, building relationships with the ideas they have. We saw a video at the end of our training on a fella from Malawi who built windmills using old wood and bicycles so that his family compound could have electricity. So they are well positioned to build windmills. So you guys need to connect with them and give them a hand doing that. They really help to, again, both pieces. So they connect with the community to both identify the needs, but also then to use the same avenue to spread out the resources, to talk about the public transit services that are available, to talk about all the specialized, the medical vouchers, whatever other programs there might be. Secondly, Utah mobility managers are primed to make connections with other sectors. Today, we were very fortunate to have a speaker come in from the Utah Department of Health. Wasn't that his Uber agency? He works, but anyway, he works with the state office on rural health. So he helps to facilitate rural health clinics. And as you can imagine, getting to a rural health clinic in very rural areas is a big obstacle for some people to get the health care they need. So that is just one example of a partnership that can be built. He was very excited to meet the mobility managers. Tracy's going to be his point of contact. He's like, I can see all sorts of projects we could do together. And they were saying, we can see all sorts of projects we can do together. It's this synergy between transportation experts and other community agencies that has so many benefits. This is an example, I just wanted to show you really quick, one of our spreadsheets that we put together. This is what they do on a daily basis. These are their roles, they're advocates, they bring people and resources together. They're superheroes, they're champions. They pull together meetings, coordination, they collaborate with partners, they build teams of partners. They also do admin, so they are, in some cases, decision makers, directors of programs. They build something new. They build, again, those windmills. They connect, I love this one, they kind of wrap their arms around the community. I said to them, every single one in that class today, and I think every public transit provider I have ever met, you have what I call a human service heart. You don't do this for the money. You do this because you know you're serving and helping people. You guys have so much in common. And serve people, again, as I said, that's a big piece of what they do. And again, networker, Uber networker, these guys. So here are some of the benefits, and I'm sure you guys, if you put your heads together with mobility managers and the transit agencies, although I know your jurisdictions kind of don't exactly match up, integration into the community from two perspectives. So you know that public transit agencies have a voice and have a role in your community, so do mobility managers, and sometimes those voices don't come together. And if you were there together, the issue of transportation with your community gets a double whammy, right? It's a double benefit there. And if you have that much better integration to the community and more raising up the discussion of transportation needs within the community, you build better community support for expansion. And we know that those elected leaders listen to their constituents. And you need that community support, whether it's at an agency level or an individual level. And then there's all sorts of potential for joint projects. There was something interesting, I'm going to go off key here for a minute. The fellow we had who came in from the State Office of Rural Health, he said one of their big issues that they are working on is the lack of healthcare providers, especially in rural areas. So they've actually gone to the legislature, and the legislature passed, and I'm not as familiar with this legislation, I just remember what he said about it. They passed legislation that was specifically going to catalog, index, who are all the healthcare providers in the state, what kind of training do they need so that we can bring more, and how can we address the shortage of healthcare providers? Why isn't, you know what I'm thinking? Why isn't there the equivalent for public transit drivers? Why can't we do that too? I mean, they did it. Why can't we do that? Because the shortage of public transit drivers is just as critical as the shortage of healthcare providers. So think about that, and think about how you can put that argument forward. So that's my spiel about that. Then I want to share some other stuff with you, but that's my spiel about join forces with your mobility managers. I know they're housed in the AOGs, but join forces with them. There is so much you could accomplish together, and put your forces together. So, moving on to a different topic, what I wanted to do is just to share a few resources. So the National Center for Mobility Management, as you may know, is based out of CTAA, and it's a cooperative agreement with Federal Transit Administration. Again, as I mentioned to our class today, consider it like an extension of the FTA, and as we kind of help transit agencies and transportation across the nation. So our website has a ton of resources, and people just don't know what they are, so I just wanted to kind of give you a quick run through. Our website is, you can see it down here on your left, nc4mm.org. So I'm going to blitz through this really quickly, and then you guys will be done for the day. So how do you find out about current funding opportunities? If you go on NCM's website, this is a picture, a screenshot of our website, or part of what, go under grants and opportunities, look under external funding sources. We talked in our training today about funding from the foundation directory, and just ask Tracy or anybody who was in the class, they can help you on that. We listed, I was telling them I listed just this morning, a brand new funding opportunity from LG, the appliance maker. They, for the first time, they are putting out grants called Life is Good grants. And it's pretty broad. So take a look, go beyond the traditional funding sources. And anytime we run across one of these opportunities, we'll put it up there. Who can help me with technical assistance? And I'm sorry, things are a little bit off. My slides were widescreens. I didn't have a chance to kind of shrink them back down. I don't know how, we've never had, so NCMM does several grants. We have 3 levels of grants. We have a planning grant phase where we use what's called design thinking or human-centered design. And we don't just give you the money and say, okay, send us monthly reports on your project. We hold your hand through every single step of the way. So you have our expertise and our work on your project the whole way. We've got one this year in, Lincoln County in Idaho, very, very rural county, probably very reminiscent of some of your rural counties here. We've got one in a very rural county in Arkansas. Neither of those counties have transit right now, any kind of transportation. Then we have one in Mississippi, the Delta region. We would love to see applications from Utah. We will come out and work with your community. The second option, if you don't want to, oh, so I'm sorry, so there are 3 phases. The first phase is the planning grant. And when you get through that, if your team chooses to go forward, we have what we call our learning launch, or they're basically a proof of concept grant. And then if you go through all that, you're eligible to apply for our pilot money, which is where the money is. Well, not a lot, but $75,000. So it's something, it's not chump change. But our grants, they come out every year. We would love to work with communities in Utah. If that's too much for you, if you just have one issue that you can't seem to get over, we also have what we call our issue-focused meetings. It's a very simple, you just submit a letter of interest, we call you, we will plan the day with you, all of the costs of the day are on us, and you help us just bring together the audience, and we'll come out and facilitate a meeting and try and move you through that. Recently this year, let's see, we just finished a meeting in Oregon on how we can improve veterans transportation. Before that, we did one in King County. They are putting together an emergency provider transportation network. So when there's a they don't really have hurricanes, they have earthquakes, they have fires, they have floods, believe it or not. They are putting together this network, and they just got it started, and then it just fizzled for about 2 years. And so we came out and helped them jumpstart that. Mississippi, we came down and did a full-day workshop with them on how they can pull together their community to do a one-call center for all the services within a region. So these are things we can do within one day, and then we're there to help you after that, so it doesn't stop. So I know that Cindy Terwilliger mentioned NCAT, just to kind of highlight some things they do. They provide one-on-one technical assistance with communities. All you need to do is apply. Those applications, they call them their strike teams. I think they changed the name, but I like strike teams. It works for me. But they will help you identify your technology goals, help you identify who can help to answer those technology goals, and I think they're even helping to craft an RFP for technology for a community right now. Their mission is all about bringing the technology that the really big systems can go after, to bring that technology to rural and small communities. So that's a really good resource. They also have statewide technology summits. They've had one in Arkansas recently. They've had one in Minnesota. They had one in Mississippi. Again, they're here to bring them out to Utah. And then all of us, both NCMM and NCAT, we're at the end of the phone. We're at the end of an email. Just any question. We're here for you. That's what we get paid to do. We're free for you, right? So call us. So both NCAT and NCMM, we try and create what we call on-tap resources, so you don't have to remember where this resource is until you need it. So these are a couple of centers we have. Well, let me go back. Both of our sites we use a Google search engine. They're keyword searchable. So if you were looking, for example, for volunteer drivers, you would just put that into our search terms, and it would go across everything and anything that's posted on our web pages. So you don't have to go searching for, like, what tab was that under again? You can find it in a heartbeat. That goes for both of our centers. We've also kind of pulled together resources by content. So the top one on the left there is we have a transportation and health resource center. We try and keep really current issues on transportation and access to healthcare, but also transportation and public health. So that center's there for you. We do have a whole resource center on creating a one-call, one-click center. We also have a technology center. We have a matrix set up that goes over different types of technology, and it talks about, it's like a spectrum. It talks the steps, and you can identify where you are in that and where you might help you plan to where you want to go. NCMM also has a technologist. You can email me at any time. I think his email is technologist@nc4mm.org. He's there again for you. So if you have a technology question, I've never heard of this vendor, what do you know about them? Or I never heard of this kind of standards, what are these? He's there for you. NCAT can do a lot of the same thing. Our free e-learning courses, the one I mentioned today, we have a whole course on cost allocation. All these are free. So take a look at those e-learning courses. NCAT has what they call their Tech University. They provide a lot of guidebooks. They're really focusing on low, no emission buses, and also can help you put together that plan that's required if you want to do low or no buses and infrastructure. They do work on GIS, microtransit, micromobility. So I guess the point of all this is there are these resources. You don't have to pay a consultant, sorry, Jason. You don't have to pay a consultant to come out and do. We are here for you. Again, we're funded by your tax dollars, my tax dollars, but through the FTA to help you and be there for you. CTIA's trainings, I know you've had a nice workshop with Taylor and Karen. I wanted to highlight just two that are free trainings. There's one, understanding passengers who experience trauma. What we learned is that there's some huge percentage, like a third of Americans have experienced at least one traumatic event in their life. I mean, that's a huge statistic. And it can impact sometimes if they experience a trigger, how they behave in the public arena or at home or anywhere. So this course is for bus drivers and anybody in transportation as to what might this look like if someone experiences a trigger in a transit setting, and how should I deal with it? Free. We had this vetted by some trauma counselors, and they gave it the good seal of approval. So feel free to take a look at that. Also, Karen's been really good about putting up, we have another training that's came out during COVID when there was a whole mask mandate and there was a lot of passengers who were like, no way, and sometimes it escalated into slightly more heated situations. So this is something that the FDA, correct, funded this?
New Mexico DOT took the RTAP funds.
New Mexico DOT created this, a course for de-escalation. How do you de-escalate? Similar to, I guess you guys who are in the verbal judo, you probably learned an awful lot there, and maybe you could teach that course now. So there you go. I wanted to highlight this, and I mentioned this to Cindy Terwilliger, and I'm going to email it to her so she can share it throughout Region 8. Denver RTD, kind of related to those last slide, Denver RTD created 5 modules that are all on Vimeo on how you deal with different situations. So someone who has an affective disorder, someone who has thought disorders, developmental disorders, somebody who's suicidal and they get on your bus, somebody who, again, a trauma. These are free. I will share these slides. You can go to these at any time. If you have drivers who are coming in and are concerned or are experiencing situations that they just don't quite know how to handle, these may apply, and RTD's made them free for everybody to watch. So I'll include these links again in the slides when I share. Oh, sorry. Just one program I wanted to mention real quick. I just think because it's interesting. It's still in the works. This is in Oregon. Basically, I'll just give you the short version. They are doing full CDL training program in correctional facilities. Now, not for everybody. These individuals, I'm sure, have to meet certain criteria. They have to apply, they have to be approved. But what's beautiful about this is that it's a partnership with the Department of Corrections, the Department of Justice, and the DOT, all within Oregon. I mean, but think about that. So we know that for prisoners getting out, it's traumatic getting out. Actually, they probably experience trauma in prison, but getting out can be traumatic because you're like, okay, what do I do next? I can't go back to my old life, you know. And so to reduce the level of recidivism, if they come out with a skill and they're readily employable, it can have a huge impact in their lives. So I won't go through all these slides, but again, you'll have them. And there's a contact if you want to know more about this program. Last, well, I don't think this is last. How do I keep current with what's new? NCMEM's daily news. So I get Google alerts. This is something I love doing. I get Google alerts every single day about news projects, news stories related. And they run the gamut, from job access to safe streets to microtransit to the Hyperloop, if you've heard of that, to everything. And so I post these. It takes me like 15 seconds to post a story, but they are fully searchable. So if you're wondering who's got microtransit projects, and Sissy's not in here, right? I haven't found a story on yours yet. I was looking to post it, but I need to find this news story on yours, your new microtransit service, so I can put it up there. But you can find it here. You can search it, so you don't have to spend your time reading all the news. You can go search for the topic you're interested in and see what's new. It should be current, unless I'm on vacation, it should be current within a few days of the date you're looking at it. CTAA, I think Taylor probably talked about that. Fastmail is a really good source, and then NCAT has its newsletter. This is just an example. This is a hit. So I went to our daily news and I did search for microtransit, and these are the articles that came up. And you can see, well, this one is dated August 17th, but I've updated it all since. I just haven't updated the slide. NCMEM's blogs. NCMEM has a newsletter, but when we used to have really good content stories in the newsletter, and then we thought, well, wait a minute, if there's a really good story, how am I going to know which issue it was in so I can go find it again? So what we did is we took all of our content newsletter stories out, put them in blog form. Again, anything on our website, fully searchable, and we tried to put up blog ideas that could be really interesting to you. These are just a couple examples. And finally, and I've mentioned this to URSTA, NCMM has a new platform. It's called My NCMM. Anybody, it's free, anybody can log in and join it, and then you can create your own discussion group within our platform. So if you want to connect, for example, to, let's see, anyone who is working on, let's just go back to microtransit. Anybody who's working on microtransit, you can go in, you can indicate that that's one of your areas of expertise or an area of interest, doesn't have to be expertise. And then you can invite other people who have also, you can search, find other people who have also hit microtransit as one of their areas of expertise or areas of interest, and you guys can form your own group. And you can own this platform. It's not for us, it's for you. So I encourage you to take a look at that. And I think that's it. So sorry, that was a bit of a whirlwind through some resources, but I'm proud of the resources that we've developed and the ones that CTAA and NCAT have developed, and I just wanted to share those with you. So, Jason, I sort of did what you asked me to. I sort of didn't, but hopefully that's all right. And anyway, we look forward to come back in Utah. We've really enjoyed our time here. Thank you so much.